Topic: Maintaining Poise. Dear folks of Baba, Baba has written in many places about the importance of poise. It is so difficult to maintain poise in the midst of what is happening in the world today and in our personal life. Yet, as Baba has said, poise is so necessary for expressing love for others and in the world around us. There are many things common to all of us that disturb our poise. Each of us has particular issues in ourselves and with others and in outer situations that invariably get a rise out of us. Baba seemed to have cleared out most of the triggers that would disturb his mandali, and I was amazed at how accepting and tolerant they could be. The continual self-reference that most of us are addicted to seemed to be relatively absent in the mandali. I always say, as long as Baba can still get a rise out of me through others and circumstances, his work in me is not complete. Some of the most common experiences that disturb the poise of Baba lovers are witnessing injustice, unkindness, self-serving behavior, double standards, dishonesty, betrayal, feeling unworthy, criticalness of oneself and others, domineering personalities, loud voices, imperviousness to constructive criticism. There are many more examples for sure. With all of our impossible expectations, most of us struggle to accept life as it is, and so we miss opportunities where we can actually change things for the better. Baba has said, all these lives you have made a habit of looking out for yourself. If the slightest thing goes against your habit, you are upset. What you have been doing always is thinking of yourself. So now you must not think of yourself, but think of others. This is what is called love. But it needs character, poise, perseverance. Poise, what is it? That state of mind where nothing excites you, nothing upsets you. Only if you have poise can you help others. Then only can you make others happy. That means love, thinking not of yourself, but of others. What kind of behavior in yourself or in others do you find most disturbing? What things trigger you the most? How have you worked to rise above reacting and maintain your poise? How has Baba helped in this effort and struggle? Do you find that there are unhealthy situations where the loving response is to avoid them when possible? Do you often resolve some disturbances by steering clear of certain persons or situations? Does that usually work? Do you sometimes write situations off with the thought that it is all an illusion, a truth you may know intuitively, but probably not yet experientially? Through Baba's grace and through our continuing efforts, we gradually rise above our reactions and attain to a state of poise, which makes our lives more and more balanced and harmonious. The world, do we dare say generously, offers myriad opportunities now to maintain the poise that Baba speaks of. And most of all, through poise, as Baba says, the love in us can flow out to others and the world more freely and with less impediment. In his love, Jeff.
Okay. Thank you, Bob. Anybody want to venture out on this subject?
Can,
Someone,
can I just ask something, Jeff?
yeah.
Jeff, I'm not muted yet, so I just want to know how do you come up with your choice of the meeting? I'm just very curious about that.
I don't know. Sometimes they just come to me in the early morning, although sometimes I get suggestions from others. I mean, I open that out. If anybody has a thing that they feel would be a topic that people could weigh in on, I'll try to frame it. But I do try to unpack things so that you don't just say poise, but there are some ways of looking at it, or so that you have a little something go on. But I know sometimes I think when Bob help me. I'm running out of topics. We have had almost I don't know 300 topics already, but and we might recycle go back. Like say the a provisional ego, something that bears kind of going through again. There are a lot of different things that would go back, but so far I haven't run out of things, or Baba hasn't run out of suggestions, so to speak. Yeah, but that's
Thank you.
it, Paula. Yeah,
No, they're perfect.
there are issues I feel that I know they're not intellectual issues. They're issues that are experiential, and everybody has something they pretty much can weigh in on these things. The challenges of living this life with Baba. Yeah.
So
Okay.
I see a hand raised. I just want to remind to ask everybody to mute themselves. Hi, Richard.
Well, this is a great, you were really articulate on this, Jeff. I think it's a little bit subtle to grasp how this relates to Baba in some ways, but for me, I've been dealing with this, and I'm really sporadic a little bit, but it involves what the infinite intelligence calls upavog. And I've talked about this with different people, but I find myself wanting to be a member of the world of creation, right? Like watching a football game. Now, for me, I don't really care too much who wins, but you can say, well, I love watching that quarterback. But in remembering Baba, all of this is just meaningless, pretty meaningless experience for each of us. I read a part of God Speaks in the summary, in the appendix, so to speak, earlier today, and I want to read it in that one of the arties, but essentially what it spoke to was the idea that, which we all know, the idea that the avatar in working with each of us, whether we go to the tomb or go to the Myrtle Beach or come to the arty meetings or in our daily lives, he works to take us away from being interested in football or ice hockey or going to the local bingo parlor. And the reason he does that is because if we are attached to that, we are not sharing our being with Meher Baba, or we're not experiencing Meher Baba. And this is I don't know what to call this, Jeff. You could deal with this better than I, but it's not a psychic phenomenon, but in God Speaks in the back, what it literally says is, there's a quote in there, it's really wonderful. It was from some Sufi that said, the pleasure of God is beyond the intellect. So the moment we take up anything under upapog, especially through the intellect, whether we enjoy music or Beethoven, Bach, or something like that, but the moment we do that, we're not really taking up the pleasure of God. And what he was referring to, of course, is what Baba is about, is remembering God while we are hearing Bach, but not relying on our attachment to Bach to be a self, identity, an ego. So can you speak to that a little more, Jeff? I'm not really
Well,
being clear.
yeah, I mean, I kind of view it differently.
Mhm.
And I mean, I've shared this. I don't know if I've shared this on this Zoom session, but one of the things that Erich said to a buddy of mine and I, he was a house painter, and we were just sitting outside Mandalay Hall on that bench, just Erich and this buddy of mine and myself. And Erich, and he said, I'm a house painter, Erich, and hours go by. I'm painting, focused on the painting. I've completely forgotten Baba. Hours are going by. This is the most important thing, to remember Baba, and I'm wasting time. What can I do about that? So this is different from what you say. So Aaron said in the beginning, it's important to remember Baba, to say his name, to read the books, go to the movies, go where Baba has been. But in time, it becomes important to forget yourself. So lose yourself in your painting. And this is the line that made a powerful impression on me. If you lose yourself in what you're doing, Baba can work through you, even if you're not aware of it. But when you come out of that absorption, when you remember to remember Baba. So there's self-forgetfulness, getting wholehearted. You can get into the football game. Even Baba got into sports. If you can get into it, but when you come out of that absorption, remember Baba. So it's a complementary relationship of self-forgetfulness and Baba remembrance. And I said to Margaret Crass dancers, I asked them, did you remember Baba out on those top performances around the country in your dance? And they said, we remembered Baba before we went out on the stage. Then we tried to lose ourselves in the dance, and afterwards we would remember Baba. So a lot of things that we can do, playing with your grandchildren or whatever, and where you're not necessarily thinking about Baba, but Baba can work through you even if you're not aware of it. So that was a key point, because back then I was kind of a Baba remembrance machine to an extreme and ridiculous degree. So that's my, now anybody else want to share in that? We got off topic a little bit here, but anyone else to speak to what, oh, we got a customer here.
We got a player in Prakash.
Yeah.
Hey, Jai Baba, everybody. Well, I mean, Poise, I mean, it's a tough thing to deal with. But one of the things I try to do these days is to not put things in various bins like good and bad, that kind of thing. It can be people, it can be actions that they do, or words they say, and everything. So, I mean, the moment I try to not put things in, be less judgmental, so to speak, I find that I don't know if I achieve the poise, but I find myself a little bit at peace. And and the way to do it, I found, was basically just like Baba says, Baba has put you in this situation. I try to think about others. Baba has put him in that situation. Baba has, that kind of thinking to me sort of sometimes get through some crisis that sometimes I run into. And so one of the answers to me is being judgmental and be in the middle all the time. Be in the middle, and that sort of dragged me along all the way. Ultimately, the answer is love. I mean, like Baba also says, once you have that, then you have perfect poise. But then it takes time to get that love that Baba speaks about. So to me, I mean, one aspect of it is being less judgmental and trying not to put things in various bins, good and bad, and just be in the middle. And that's what I struggle to do, and I put effort in it. And it seems to, I can't say that it has worked all the time, but it gets me going.
Yeah.
Jai Baba.
Beautiful. Yeah, I know if Baba, in the past especially, if Baba wanted to disturb my poise, all I had to do is enact some injustice in front of my consciousness. And it's very hard to witness it without, like you say, being judgmental or critical.
Yeah.
But get some space. Yeah.
I mean, the answer Baba gave is definitely love. I mean, and here is a small thing that I just ran into, and Baba's words here. Baba says, if you are in Sahara and for 4 days you have no water to drink, and all of a sudden one bottle of water appears, how do you react? Baba says, if you have poise, you will let your companion drink and not mind dying, and letting her live. But if you fight and grab for it, you lack poise and spirituality. It is this poise that makes you sacrifice and makes others happy. Well, it's a work in progress, but
Read that again, because that was connected with the Baba's words that I quoted in the email. But this is really, think about this. Read that again.
yeah. Baba says, if you are in the Sahara and for 4 days you have no water to drink, and all of a sudden one bottle of water appears, how do you react? If you have poise, you will let your companion drink and not mind dying and letting her live. But if you fight and grab for it, you lack poise and spirituality. It is this poise that makes you sacrifice and makes others happy. Jai Baba.
Hey, Baba. Thank you. Great quote.
So we're going to call on ourselves here.
Oh, right. Yeah, they're self-serving. They're just.
I totally cut in the line of no one. So we have a lot going on here. We live here in West Los Angeles, and it has felt like the end of days here. It has just been like no other experience. I mean, I didn't need to one up, Asheville or any of the other cities that have had terrible disasters. Yet this is bringing us all to our knees. And so I think about poise, and I think about that kind of evenness, that we have been locked in our house for 6 days now, windows shut, doors shut, air purifier on. And we have done everything we could to garner up poise so that we didn't have every one of our nerves frayed. We get alerts constantly. We have to have the TV on just in case. We live far enough away that it would be outrageous that the fire came to us, but the smoke is here. Our land is filled with ash. Our dog is coughing. And we have leaned on Baba more. We talked about last week about it seems like with suffering, we tend to lean on Baba more. So that has been top of mind all week long. Since Tuesday afternoon, we were on our way driving to the dental office where Terry worked for 40 years. And we turned off of our street and the sky was filled with fire and smoke. And that building didn't make it. It was our whole village of the Palisades where I lived and Terry worked, gone. And what's really interesting is how many Angelenos have come to people's help. And the reporters keep asking them, what made you come? People came from San Diego, they came from all over. They just put their life down and came to help with donations. And it was all poise. Just, they had to be thinking of other people and be of service. And in this light, it has just given us such hope. The work here is going to be so, so difficult. Somebody wrote on Facebook, it's a full moon. Is the moon upset with what they see on Earth?
Yeah.
It's just so keep praying for us, please.
Yeah. Wow.
Do you
Jai
wanna add
Baba. Yeah.
anything?
Thank you, and so beautifully shared. Yeah. No, what times we're having to face. Anyone else not afraid to lose their poise? It looks like Paula is raising her hand. Were you raising your hand, Paula? Oh, we don't hear you though.
Well, I see Gail has her hand up. I don't, Paula, you have your physical hand up?
Yeah, that she's just been
Mhm.
waving her hand. Yeah.
You need You need to unmute.
Okay, I'm unmuted. Okay. I just wanted to say, I think I lived in Los Angeles in the 80s, the early 80s, and Phyllis Frederick lived in Manhattan Beach. And I remember, this is so interesting that the word is the subject is poise tonight, because she would have meetings and she was just like so amazing, just adored her. And one night we had a meeting where we all picked a word. And do you know that my word was equipoise? And so that is just like so interesting that of all things tonight, I'm just thinking, and I'm thinking of her, and like, she was such an incredible teacher and being. And anyway, there's something about thinking about Phyllis in those days and how close we got to be to some of these people. And it was just a very incredible time. And I don't know. I just think back to that time, and I just wanted to share that because I'll never forget that the word was equipoise that
Yeah.
night. My little piece of paper, I kept it for years. I don't know where it went, but anyway.
She was very poised. She could
Oh,
endure so many things.
yes.
Yeah.
Go over to Gail.
Well, I too think of equipoise, but I totally lost my poise at the election, and that's all I'll say about the election. But it took me, so I can really see the balance that I lost in spades. I'm sitting here with my knitting. I grew up in a very violent home. I remember my college roommate looked over at me and said, "How do you study with all this?" And I thought, this is just stereos. Like, what, all of what? So it's with Baba, there's a great deal of poise because there's so much love. There's so much consistency. There are always more quotes that take me closer to him. There's Baba Zoom where we come together. Some go to arti, some read books, some sing, some do poetry, but that is all going in the right direction. I mean, if I put poise in my GPS, one of the ways to do it is with Baba Zoom. But Baba Zoom is even beside the point. Baba is the point. Baba is the destination. And I'm glad this is a topic. It's really, really helped me see how I have had my GPS just set on fear. That's the opposite. Jai Baba.
Yeah. Thank you, Gail.
I think everybody in here is going to steal that line, the GPS on poise. Good for you, Gail.
You guys seem to be pretty poised. I don't hear anybody, bringing up how they lose their poise, the types of things.
Let's go to Bing. Bada Bing.
But a couple of thoughts. It occurs to me that if one does not have poise, one has distractions, and it's helpful, I think, as a focus to be present. And poise is an element. I think it's important in being present. And an analogy I like is we're all in this giant card game of life. We don't control how the cards are dealt. We just have some ability to guide how we play. And I'm not looking to be a highly ranked card player. I'm just looking to be reasonably average. And what is that? It's how do I want to play the cards? Well, what is the aspiration? It's to seek, sense, and serve the pleasure of the divine beloved, which we might interpret as our essence, being, that which underlies everything, which we also think of as Meher Baba. And how do you know that? Well, that's the whole journey, to learn. And it's not really learning so much as awakening, I suppose. The word sin is interesting. It's derived from a Hebrew word, I believe, which means to fail or to miss the goal. There's also a word in English related that's missing the target. So we're just looking to get a little closer, be present. Something that has really struck me recently is Malcolm Schloss's poem, Humility, and it's four-line segments. And one of the 4-line segments is, humility is carefree and serene. It sees and serves the one, capital O, alike in all, cares not for what may be or what has been. And this is the kicker. But in each present moment finds its call. It's not reacting. It's not even just responding, which is a much higher way to move through life. It's finding its call in each present moment, which is, I think, higher than responding even. And I think of an analogy of women carrying water or bundles on their head, and they're walking along and they're just chit-chatting, talking about how their husband's messed up or their kids are doing this or that, and but all the time balancing, and that's always on their mind. And as we go through life, having a sense of everyone and everything are sacred, including ourselves, while we're milling about and just in this mundane, minutia of life, which seems like going in my mother's final years, taking her to the drugstore, the grocery store, my daughter's doing that, seemed, whatever. But it was such an important, memorable, common thing that in the ordinary is truly extraordinary and an amazing gift that we have to seek, sense, and serve his pleasure and share that sense in all that we do and with all whom we meet. Anyway, that's a theory that
From Chautauqua, right?
No, beautiful, Bing, really. I mean, that's that if you can stay in that zone, you're going to have much of your life is going to be in that state of poise. Yeah. No, well, let's see. Thank you.
Let's go over to Ron and Lisa.
Hi. I really liked what you wrote on this topic, and so I decided to attend, even though I don't usually attend. But this one really spoke to me, and just as the meeting opened, I had a memory of something that I thought would be good to share. But before I share it, I just want to say my heart goes out to you in LA. I came to Baba in LA, and I'm really thinking of all of you. I'm, sending my love and thinking
Beautiful.
of you, and hope that it all gets worked out and for the highest good of all. So this is this memory that came to me. When I went to India in 2004, that was the last time I went there. And I was sitting on the porch next to Arnavaz, and there was a group that was visiting, I think from either Lithuania or Ukraine, somewhere in Eastern Europe. There was this little pod of people that came together, and they seemed to have one person who was sort of like their spiritual leader. which pushed my buttons because, only Baba should be, so I'm just telling you this story because I got my buttons pushed a lot and my poise set off, off my poise. So sitting next to Arnavas, one of these people from the group, this young man, came to meet her and she greeted him and she said, are you reading God Speaks? Have you read God Speaks? And this fellow said, no, I don't need to read God Speaks. I have it all inside me. And I could feel my blood pressure going up and my face probably turning red. And I looked over at Arnavas and her response was, she put her hand, I'll show you how, she put her hands out to him as if she coming from her heart. And she said, welcome to Baba's home, with her heart. That was her response. And I just was almost shocked because that was real poise in Baba. I witnessed Arnavas doing that. So I just want to share that.
Beautiful. Yeah, very vivid. We can see it quite clearly. Beautiful.
Ron,
Thank
is
you,
this a
Lisa.
is this a 2-for-1 or should I move on?
Oh, I may have something later.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, let's go to Tony. Tony.
Tony.
Hello, I'm happy to speak to you all tonight. There is nothing in my mind to say about the poise. And so I thought maybe if Baba wants me to speak, I'll speak, but I have nothing to say. Until Bing, I'm going to speak in a normal voice because my voice is so wrecked already anyhow. When Bing mentioned about sin, and that was something that inspired me to speak up. Because Harry Kenmore used to, Baba would ask him whenever he was there to say the prayers, the Pavardagar prayer and the repentance prayer. And so in the year that I spent around him, whenever he would say the prayer, the repentance prayer, he would say, now when Baba uses the word sin, he's using it in the sense of ancient Greek archery. When you had missed the bullseye, you had sinned. If you missed the bullseye once, you'd sinned once. If you missed the bullseye twice, you'd sinned twice. So don't conjure up any gruesome activities connected with the word. You just sinned, you try again. As for poise, it's not a word that speaks to me a lot. I guess the only thing that occurred to me once I knew I was going to share, was someone I knew at the UN who reminded me of Robert Vaughn in the old TV show The Man from U.N.C.L.E., if anyone remembers that show. And this was someone who just had as a quality of his nature, that character, poise, always kind of centered within oneself, not affected by things. It's not like you don't have buttons, but whatever comes, it just goes right past the button, because your thing, if you've got poise, is to be in that centered space. It's not something I ever really aspire to, and I don't have it. But I find my poise is thrown more with things about me in my daily life. And my response is, okay, Baba, what do you want me to do in this situation? What do you want me to say? How do you want me to, I'm reacting like this. How do you want me to react? And to more or less, as much as possible, get into the present moment in Baba and not in whatever is being brought up in me at that time. And I don't know any other way to do that. It's the dance, it's like a ping pong ball sometimes. The dance goes on. You react, it's internal. Hopefully I don't express it too much outwardly. Find what Baba wants and go on. I guess that's all. That's all I've got to say in this situation.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you. No, that's beautiful. I mean, even asking Baba, what do you want me to do here, is already a state of poise. It's overriding the reactions. Well, being open to whatever Baba prompts you to do. Yeah.
And that includes the, oh, sorry.
Oh,
Go ahead.
And that includes the inner reaction. It's not so much what do you want me to do, but how do you want me to inwardly
Yeah.
respond to this?
Excellent. Yeah.
All right. New people, Patty.
All right, good evening, everyone, and Jay Baba. I
Yeah.
just have a short comment on a couple things, which Bing and Tony, you were talking about. And it has to be, for me, rarely am I in poise, so I'll just be out with that. I have a rather the Italian side of myself, you know, so it's it is not in poise, but I do know poise. It's just not my wheelhouse like Tony's. What I do believe, however, is the key that I'm hearing for me is it's in the present moment. When we are not in our mind and we're really living in the breath of the moment, we can then act from that moment. Somebody else said that too already, but it might have been being it appears to me that the playing with children, the sports activity at the level where there is you losing yourself in the art or in the job or anything like that, to me, that is the place where poise comes. And it isn't that I'm going to go find it. It's just that then I enter into that, or it enters into me, whatever happens. But it is in the present moment. And when I'm up in my mind and I'm thinking, what am I supposed to do, or this or that, I'm not in the moment, you know, because I think we are given the intuitive, we're given the voice, the channel of which Baba then uses us. So I don't think it's us doing it. I do think it's Baba doing it. And I have had those experiences in my life. And it was through sports mostly. And actually running with the torch for Baba, that was a moment that he reminded me when I had the thought, oh, thank you, Baba. And I'm running, you know, really early in the morning by myself on a road to Marizod. I mean, away from Marizod, you know, 5 a.m. or something in the morning, a little after that. I had the thought, oh, Baba, thank you for letting me do this. And immediately he put me in the present moment where I knew everything changed. And I won't go into that story, but those, and on a racquetball court when I was in a national championship and won, and there was no me, there was no other component. It was just the whole experience of being one with everything. And there was equal poise in that because it all happened. It just all happened perfectly, evidently. You know, it was an interesting phenomena. But I do think it has a lot to do with being in the present moment. And of course, being open to Baba's taking everything away so you can be there. Okay, Jay Baba, you guys.
Yeah. Beautifully put.
Yeah.
I know in sports they call it being in the zone.
Yes, it
You
is
know,
in
and
the
it
zone.
really
Yeah.
it really is. I know. I just digress a little bit. One of the great hitters of, you know, yesteryear was a guy named Rod Carew.
Oh.
And normally, you know, hitting over 300 is pretty good, but at one point he was hitting over 400. And he said that as the ball was coming down from the pitcher, they were as big as grapefruits in slow motion, you know.
Mhm.
And so he was able to, he was so
Yeah.
into the moment, he was able to
Yeah.
slow time down and do the incredible.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was no time. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's what happens. We believe there's time up here.
Yeah.
So then
Yeah.
things, you know, but I think when that openness and that consciousness is awoken, it'll be a lot different.
Yeah.
You know, a lot different. All right, Jay Baba.
Yeah, Jay Baba. Yeah. Thank you.
Let's go to Richard.
My thought is a little bit with Prakash. It got me thinking about that, but and more related to what your topic is, Jeff, I guess, of poise, but and I'll keep this short. For me, my mind is ever eager to control everything around me, control what I think, control how I react, control the situation. And mainly it's just a function of the ego trying to protect itself or avoid some imagination of pain or something, or like Prakash said, good versus bad and that kind of thing. But I found that now, as I'm getting older, I want to open up to other people just as they are. So instead of thinking of them as being such and such, so and so, and I'm listening to them tell me whatever, I just open my ears and try to listen to what they're actually saying. And in that moment, it's like what you're saying about poise, I think. In that moment, I no longer am trying to, what Prakash said, judge anything they're saying, but trying to listen to, okay, what are they saying? And then I can respond with whoever I am or whatever I might think. But there is a real sense of freedom in that moment of not wanting to control others with your view or your thoughts or protect yourself. But it's a long process for me. Thank you.
Yeah. Well said. Very clear.
So I think we go to Ron since you hadn't shared yet, and then we'll go to Tina.
Yeah.
When I read the letter that you sent, Jeff,
Yeah.
the thing that came to me was a quote of Baba's. I'm not going to read the quote, but the essential part of it, very short quote. But Baba referred to himself as the divine sculptor. And he says he molds the perfect one himself in all. And I kind of relate to that in that I've read so many things of Baba's, and a lot of you know that I've composed songs to Baba's messages and stuff, and that I've sung to myself hundreds and hundreds of times. So these things get into me, and I sort of know when Baba wants me to know what pleases him, what makes him happy, such as being poised in the moment. Not that I am going to be walking around with a badge that says I have poise or anything like that, but just experiencing poise. So I think that what he does is he molds that. If I'm receptive to his molding processes, however that is, whether he feeds me some nice message or discourse when I need it, or if I do something where I am totally without poise and I recognize it, he helps me to recognize it, and I feel lousy that I had no poise at that point. That helps too. That's just one of the ways he molds. So I can't really do anything completely wrong as long as I'm doing it for him and remembering him. So whether I do a good job, so to speak, or if I fail, it's all going to work out because that's part of his molding process. So I think I'm in good hands. And, he says he does that for everybody. So I'm not anything special.
Good. Thanks, Ronnie. Yeah.
All right, let's go to Tina. Are you there?
While we're waiting for her. Oh, okay.
It's just an illusion that she's here, but let's go with it. There's
Tina, we're there at the gate of Baba's house. Oh, there.
Okay. I'm going to say that this customer relations specialist does not bode well for me. I scream at them and I abuse them, and I don't like that, and I don't like it. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, that's kind of what Prakash was saying, that if you, it's very hard when people, you don't like their behavior, to be able to live with disturbing behavior and not losing your cool. I mean, that's I think we all are dealing
Yes,
with that.
yes, I don't lose my cool too often, but I do feel like I don't like it when I do it.
Yeah. It's funny because just before I came on, somebody laid into me for about an hour until
Oh
I
no,
until I lost my cool and everything. And I mean, just like of all
what
the
happened?
things, huh?
What
Well,
happened?
someone just, really not happy with my behavior. Uh, and I
You
just, yeah, but I mean,
you seem like the perfect person to me.
yeah, no, well, they laid into me, and they got me to say a few things that I don't normally like to say. I didn't swear though, but I mean, it's like I'm coming to this, this thing on Poise, and I completely lost it. Uh, I mean, I would say semi-controlled my Poise.
I
So
don't have to be provoked. I just start screaming at them.
yeah, well, what did they say? What was the Anise Nin, or what's that woman feminist said something like, anger always overstates its case.
Yes,
It always overstates its case. There, you got it. Tony Peternetti's got it right down there. But I like that.
yes. Anais nin.
Yeah.
Anger always overstates its case.
Yeah.
Well, I'll keep that in mind. I've tried to be better, and
Yeah.
I set goals for myself, but I don't always fulfill them.
Yeah. You're not alone in that, Tina.
Yes.
Let's go to
Let's see
Peter.
about, yeah.
Hi, everybody. I'm going to set my timer. Tina, can I give you feedback on that, on this customer service thing? Would you mind?
No, I'd like feedback.
Okay. I have so many thoughts going through my head about this topic and Poise. And one thing that comes to my mind is that when I was looking for a new job years ago, there was a position at Office Depot, and it was for sales. And I asked a mentor, what feels odd about this? And he says, number one, you don't like people. Okay, fair. So talking to people doesn't really fit in like a sales role, maybe unless I have passion for what I do. But also, since I'm very introverted, having a spontaneous conversation with someone also doesn't usually fit for me. It's like I can't just go to a party and chat with people. It would be best to have a purposely driven conversation. Also, though, when it comes to Poise, I'll mention that when I was in a martial art dojo years ago, I learned to have an intimate relationship with rage. And also, I've done many inventories on myself to learn my strengths and liabilities. And I have taken, let's just say when I got fired from a job, I took an inventory of where I messed up. And when I poured through Lord Mayhair, I saw that there was a spiritual solution to every problem I had. And I went so far as to write on index cards prayers and what Baba said to do. And I would go through them and through them and through them to trigger him when I'd get upset. And what I'm leading toward is, you know, when I was raging in the dojo, I couldn't show it. I could show that I'm mad, but not like demonstrate that I'm mad. And when I think about myself with my job, I have to deal with people every so often. I have what's called dispatch calls where sometimes I need to talk to people that aggravate the hell out of me. And one thing I do, I've learned to raise the issue up to Baba. Literally, sometimes I take my hand and say, this is yours. Jeff Wolverton said you like dealing with the details. So there you go. You deal with the details. Jeff Wolverton also says Baba wants to worry. So I'm like, fine, I'm not comfortable with the situation. I have no choice now but to go into a situation. So Baba, I have a lot of animosity toward him, but I'm just going to, I think I'm with you with having animosity toward Mayor Baba, but I throw it up to him as well. And I remember that when I'm dealing with other people, and this may make you want to throw something at me or the Zoom screen, but oftentimes when I am dealing with the people, I look at what they're going through. Why are they upset? Why are they calling this company? What bothers them? And when I put myself in their shoes, it tends to get my upsetness down. I could see you're like this, like, oh, I don't want to hear that. I know it's a scary concept. And a lot of time when I want to lash out with someone, if I can catch myself enough and remember that I am them, being them, how would I want to address them? It usually makes me shut right up because I can't be lashing out at them. And really, it would come back to me. Likely, it may come back to me. It's about remembering I'm God, remembering they're God. It raises a vibration up. And quite frankly, what mechanism happens to me sometimes is when I'm really hostile, which is usual, unfortunately, and this is a bane of my existence, how I've been doing work on myself for 30 years, I'm still like this, and that's a whole nother topic, is that a self-preservation mechanism sometimes goes off with me that when I have them on the phone, all of a sudden that upsetness, in a way, I feel like it gets transcended, so I can't lash out. Because it's like the good or just part of my service orientation comes out to usually have a sensitive call with these people. And I think I've learned a certain amount of poise when I can be upset. I'm just trying to think of how to land this because I did want to ask you something about your experience. It's been on my mind, but I'll also throw in that when I went to a doctor of functional medicine years ago, I had blood work done and I had work to see if there were toxic heavy metals in my body and Epstein-Barr virus, which those are a toxic soup. And I learned that I had an abundance of heavy metals in my body and lead in my brain. And I've done everything I could to detox, to cleanse this out of my brain, which I'm sure causes a lot of my mood issues. So that's one thing I will lovingly submit to you about a possible solution is toxins in the body. I know I have them, and I've gone through great efforts to rid myself of these. However, my doctor says, sorry, like basically in a very kind manner, sorry, you still got them. So maybe I'll land the plane in a moment by saying, since you're in this job at the moment, With my, although, I'm struggling to say this. People that know me well enough know when I look at what Mani said about Mayor Baba, he said, God can never be anything except merciful and full of compassion. However, when I look outside my door and I see homeless people and I see the chaos going in the world, the last election and so on, I don't have enough of an answer. So I'm conflicted. So sometimes when I have to talk to people, I think the vibration just gets raised up so I can talk to them in a civil way. And I got the gag order to stop. So I hope that may bring some
Peter,
rationale.
you spoke very beautifully, very clear. You know, that's very clear thinking, and that's kind of what we're up against. You know, you stated
That's
it beautifully.
helpful,
Yeah.
Peter. It's just I get my buttons pushed very easily.
Yeah.
And even though I say I'm going to the I don't know what I'm trying to say. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I just say that if I have a goal of can't know and don't know and I just don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think Peter, in talking about getting over into the other person,
Yes.
which is empathy is the hard struggle. And, you know, so that those people you're yelling at, if you can get over into them, as Peter was
Right.
describing, that's one of the major ways out, you know, to
Yes.
keep your poise.
Yes.
Oh, can I just expand on that a little bit? I'll try to keep it brief. Would it be all right?
Yeah.
All right. When it comes to poise, I think to myself, how many paradigms have shifted in me? Because although I'm a very emotional being, I'm more empathic and more emotional than I'm rational. However, when it comes to many, many issues, what I chose to do, because the evidence was becoming more and more grand, is looking at new information and taking a rational look at it, meaning a non-emotional. When it came to many things like this election, the pandemic, 9/11, what have you, what I did was somehow I knew it's like my instructor told me something about 9/11 that infuriated me. I mean, I was livid. And I said, this guy knows what he's talking about. So let me investigate rationally, meaning put my emotions to the side and look at the evidence that's being presented to me. And law of attraction, the evidence became right in front of my nose. And I looked at it, it was looking me square in the eye. And I made a rational decision what to think about it now. And I changed my position. And I did that with a number of issues. I'm very proud of myself. Even when it came to this election, I changed how I voted because I was rational. I looked at the evidence that was being presented to me, and I kind of bit my tongue with what I did. But, you know, when it comes to poise, I think poise has allowed me to look at different information, put it together in order to have a paradigm shift and to pull my coat. When I think of what like real poise is, I look at the real treasure in stepping into the fire. And Eric said that being at Marizat, to paraphrase, is like stepping into a ball of fire. So I think poise at the highest levels is no joke. It is incredible. I know if I stepped into a bowl of fire, I'd be yelping. I'd be yelping like mad. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you. Thanks for giving me the extra time.
Thank you.
That's helpful. And I
I'm glad it
don't
is.
know what to say, but I don't think I can condemn myself for lashing out at these people who push my buttons.
Yeah.
I have to forgive myself.
Yeah, I always feel you want to come through situations with as little residue as possible, whatever kind of way you view it. You're kind of succeeded if you're not having to rethink it all the time. Go back
Right.
and, you know,
Right.
you can kind of put it to bed and move on. Hey, well, it's getting late, folks.
All right, we'll just do a few more. Let's go to Ron and Lisa. And then we'll go to Ralph, and then we'll probably wrap it up.
All right, I hope this doesn't last that long, but I wanted to tell one of my favorite stories about Poise. It's a famous story, and it has to do with this young fellow that went to Japan to be with his sensei, who was the inventor of Aikido. The creator of the martial art Aikido. And so this one day, this young guy was on the train, and it stopped, and on the train came this large drunken guy who was out of control, and he was very angry, and he was looking very dangerous because he was like lashing out here and there. Most of the people on the train during the day were elderly people or people with children, and this young guy thought, I'm going to have to do something about this guy to protect the people. And so he geared himself up for dealing with the guy, and he had enough confidence in his skills that he had learned from his training that he knew he could deal with this guy, and he just needed to see how to engage. So what he did was he got the guy's attention, and he like either smiled at him or blew him a kiss or something that would infuriate him because he wanted to get his attention. And this guy looked at him and said, "Oh, American, and he started to head toward, take a step toward this young guy, when all of a sudden he heard there was a loud clap, and it was right next to him. There was this small elderly man dressed in a kimono sitting there, and he looked up at this drunken guy, and he said, "Have you been drinking?" And the guy says, "Yeah, what is it of your affair? What is your business?" And he said, "Well, I was just thinking myself that I was about to go home and sit with my wife in front of this beautiful plum tree that we planted many years ago and drink some sake. This is a habit that we have." And I just thought, wow, this is, it reminded me of that. So, he says, "Do you ever do that? Are you married?" And he said, "Do you ever do that with your wife?" He said, "My wife is dead." He said, well, the man moved over to make room for him. He says, "Please sit down." And the old man started engaging with this drunken guy. And all along, the young Aikido student was looking at this, and he was thinking to himself, well, I know about Aikido, but my goodness, this is the real Aikido. To be able to basically settle this guy down. And by the time the kid got off the train, he looked over, and the drunken guy had his head in the old man's lap, and he was just stroking his head. And he thought, yeah, that's the real Aikido that I need to learn.
Beautiful. Great story. Wonderful.
That's a famous story. If you ever read the first volume of Chicken Soup for the Soul, you'll find that one in there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good, thank you.
you're welcome.
Yeah.
Okay, so bringing up the caboose, we've got Ralph, and we'll have someone do a last prayer.
My original issue that came to mind regarded trying to see the other person's point of view, and then in the case where oneself is personally experiencing rage or irritation that refuses to allow you to be natural or civil or polite or to feel compassionate or nice, that those are friendly, then and you're right there involved in interchange with another individual. That's a tough go. But seeing the man on the train, what Ron said reminded me of things that Baba utilized and mentioned on one occasion was when you see a child is engaged in something, activity that may be dangerous or not a good habit, just a toddler, maybe can't even walk, that is good to give them an alternative, something else that is not harmful, to draw them away from the thing that is harmful. And that's what the man sitting there who with the plum tree, with the wife and a plum tree, was able to offer. His poise worked for him. I mean, that was a pretty remarkable instance. But in my case, when I tried to think, where's this other person coming from, or try to involve my understanding, say what, it just makes me that much more confused, because I'm not really understanding myself, for one, and trying to get a grip on what poise is, what allows you to think is not something to just groove on. Then we're still in a state of non-communication. But I'm saying that may be right or wrong, but I'm thinking what Bob says, creative thinking, the poise that allows the mind to think, to engage and not be possessed with anger or irritation or something that doesn't allow you to think positively, creatively, and be able to communicate in the same manner. But there's an art to. Bob also stressed that the art of life is being able to communicate with others. Is a big part of it. It's huge, maybe all of it. I don't know. Okay, Jay.
Yeah. Before we leave, I'm going to just say one thing that, and I'm not going to go into it, but one of the big things that have challenged my poise over the years is much better now, but what I call impersonal authority, to be in a situation where you have to deal with an impersonal kind of not loving authority and having to be under that. That is one very hard for me to understand why they are that way. I mean, to to be accepting of why they are that way. That has been one of my things. It's not that I blow up or anything, but it does kind of, I'm not connected as deeply with such persons as I would like.
Any insights?
Well, we're kind of late now. We'll save that for some other time. I just throw it out there because I'm sure just about everybody's had some example of that, and it might even be a topic of its own, and all the different ways that people have to deal with such things. Okay, any last minute quote before we have a few moments of silence?
Sure, I have a quote, Jeff.
Okay.
I was looking for one on poise, which I so know that I have somewhere, but for the life of me, I couldn't find it today.
Yeah.
But anyway, Baba led me to this one. So he says, when nothing upsets you, you are at the beginning of the path. When you desire nothing, you are halfway on the path. When nothing becomes everything, you are perfected. Jai Baba.
Oh, read that one again. Yeah.
When nothing upsets you, you are at the beginning of the path. When you desire nothing, you are halfway on the path. When nothing becomes everything, you are perfected.
Beautiful. It reminds me of a slightly different camera angles. Ibn Arabi was one of the great Sufi perfect masters. And he says, at the level of the world, there is yours and mine. At the beginning of the path, mine is yours and yours is mine. On the path itself, there is no mine and there is no yours. And at the end of the path, there is no me and no you. It's another way of viewing it.
Way of saying the same thing, yes.
Well, just it has you on the path, but
yeah.
with a different, okay, let's have a few moments of silence. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Can I ask Gohair, what is your last name?
My last name is Mobed. That's my married last name is Mobed.
Okay, because I saw you on the Facebook. I was going to try to friend you yesterday.
Oh.
I didn't know if it was you because I couldn't tell from the picture. Thank you.
Well, I don't have a picture on my face. Well, I don't know which picture you're referring to, but
well,
okay.
I tried to see if it was you in some way, but I couldn't find other things. Yeah.
Okay, just know I'm not very active on Facebook.
Okay. Okay.
But I'm not active. Okay. Thank you.
Any last comments at all? Anything?
You helped me.
Yeah. I want to know what's up with Marta Flores.
Yeah, she's been just kind of hiding away in that reddish room that she's got there.
No, this was a wonderful, interesting evening. Very interesting evening. Yeah, that's what's up. I'm just listening.
I think Marta has demonstrated great poise tonight.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, at least I'm being quiet. But I loved what Peter said. It was just, it has lovely wisdom in it. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was beautiful insights. Peace,
Peter-
brother. Peace, brother.
Yeah.
Thanks. I'm trying to give some kind of endearing gesture to say, I've learned through numerology, that's where I get my spiritual happy place.
Yeah.
Well, you've been doing a lot of work in it. It's really come through. So I really appreciate you sharing. Thank you.
Yeah.
I
Beautiful
felt the same.
shares.
Peter, you're making great progress. Go stick with it. You're doing great. You
Yeah.
have the awareness. You're bringing Baba into yourself, and that's projecting out to others. So that's perfect. You're on the right path.
Yeah.
Yeah, with I think just permission, I need it. Yeah.
Say that again?
No, I'm just thinking there's that issue that I'm wrestling with when Go here is saying I'm projecting something out that has to do with what I was talking to you before about what I'm projecting out scares me. And I'm not sure how to handle it. So I feel like when Go here is being so nice and endearing saying that, I feel like saying, you don't know what I'm projecting out there though.
No, but if you have, what I'm trying to say to you, Peter, is that you have the awareness to bring Baba into your situation and, think of the other person or look at it from their standpoint, which is, that's the right way to go about it. So that's what I meant to say.
Yeah.
And so whatever is coming out from you is what Baba's prompting you to do. So don't worry about it. Just, keep Baba with you. That's all you need to do is keep him with you.
I'm saying this in a nice way. You get me to cry, Go here. Nice way.
Wasn't my intention, but
no, it's good. I need to do that a little bit.
But if it's cleansing, go for it.
Yeah.
You know that song, Just As I Am.
Yes, yes.
What's that? How does that go? Just as I am without one something.
Well, I guess.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Yeah, the host have deserted us already. So I'll see you guys. Much love.
Love, Jay Baba.
And we'll be thinking of you, Diane and Terry.
Yeah. Stay
Dar
together.
Bear Baba Ki
Jay Baba.
Jai.
Thank you, Jay Baba.
Thank you, Jay.
Yep. Oh, good. Nasreen, we can't leave yet.
Yes.
Go for it.
Excuse me. Just a minute. Just a minute, please.
So sorry.
Avatar Meher Baba Ki Avatar
Meher Baba
Ki Jai. Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai.
Jai Baba.
And that comes
Are
from
you
that
okay over there?
and that comes from LA. So it's coming from the very heart of
Baba.
yeah.
Yes.
Much love. Jay Baba.
Jay Baba. Bye-bye.
Sweets. Thank you.
Nazarene, are you okay?